All right, well, I think I'm live, but being that it's on YouTube, I have no clue. So I'm going to check this out. If you go to the YouTube or the Facebook link, it should automatically be there.
What's can you like text it to me or something?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I am live with sound. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. It's hard to tell what's happening here. This whole new thing with Facebook is going to be a bit of a challenge. There have been some challenges already, so hopefully I can get this to work. I'm just going to try and send this to Anthony here. Where's best to send it to you?
Can you?
Here, just text it to yourself. I copied it already. You just have to paste. All right. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Briangle Report. Jim, thank you so much for letting me know that this is working. If there's any issues at all, please, guys, let me know. I can see the chat really clearly here on YouTube. So hopefully this will work well for everybody. Any questions at all during the show? That's why we have a live show, so that you can ask questions, you can be involved in the conversation. Nothing better than having the show ebb and flow because of folks like yourselves watching and giving me insight. I really appreciate it. All right, let us move along. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, today is the photo review show. I did have some issues setting up the photo channel or the photos on the OBS. There was some weird things going on today. Hopefully it won't be an issue for us going further. All right, but before I go any farther in our conversation, I need to do what's important, and that would be switch the monthly calendar from September to October, because we are a new month. So again, September in the Tiggy Jones, the Cat, the Myth, the Legend 2025 calendar. This was last month, and the new month, October, is this guy right here. So again, this is a calendar made by our customer, Holly Latimer. She's a brilliant photographer, and she gives us this calendar every year, and I just like talking about it because cats. All right. Things are a bit different now. I've been off for a week. Obviously, we didn't do the show last week. This week is the photo review show. I'm using YouTube now, and hopefully it will all go seamless as we expect it to. But feel free to let me know if there's any problems, as I mentioned. Now, we have a special guest this week. I'm very excited because Anthony, who is from Henry's head office, is here. He's the head guy in our social media presence and so on. I'll introduce you to him in a little bit, and we'll get a bit of a background check from him on what he's up to. But he's going to help us with the photo review this week, and I'm super stoked about that because Anthony is a very creative guy. He knows his art, he knows his photography and video, of course, as well. And he knows what people like. So it'll be great having some insight on our photos from Anthony today. But before we go there, I'm going to do the Did You Know? Because I always do a Did You Know. Now, the Did You Know for today, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, a Did You Know is a digital know-how, a little quick tip. Or, hey, did you know something? Today's something is something we talk about a lot here on the sales floor, and how a camera feels in your hand, and how if you like the way a camera works, you will use it more. So ergonomics is a very important thing when it comes to buying a camera. Having a camera set up the way you like it has never been easier. So many buttons are programmable. On Bo, my Z6 III that I'm using to record the show, every button on the front, every button on the top is pretty much programmed the way I want to work with my camera. I've got my white balance. I've got my image quality buttons right on the front of the camera. I have a button on the top that I programmed differently so I can turn on and off the real-time display settings. So if I want to see my pictures brighter or darker, or if my depth of field is adjusted, I can hit one button and it represents that. Hit that same button and it goes right back to normal exposures where I can set with flashes and not have to worry. Having your camera programmed for yourself is a very important thing. So I'm going to recommend everybody take some time, sit down with your camera and play with buttons. Customize your stuff. You can customize speed. You can customize so many things. And when you get your new camera to be able to sit back, program it the way you like it, you're going to use your camera more. So that's my tip for the day, is customize your camera, create it to work the way you work, not the way the camera originally worked. All right, let's just see if there's any conversation. Steve is watching. Excellent. Jim, saying hi to Steve. All right, very cool. I like the way this is working. All right, very good. So, as always, I have a what's new, a little bit of what's used, but first, what's new. Aside from new big releases that we've talked about a couple weeks ago, we have one thing to talk about today, and I'm not going to have to do a screen share for that because I've got the behind me. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Peter McKinnon bags from Nomadic have come into Newmarket. We have a bunch of them here in the store. They're not set up yet because we're going to have a custom display for them because Peter deserves that. But for those of you who don't know, Peter McKinnon is a coworker of mine. He worked here in the store for 2 years, about 10 or 12 years ago at this point. Pete is a super talented YouTuber, cinematographer. He basically changed the game when it comes to YouTube cinematography. Everybody kind of is copying his "what's up everybody" and all the things that he does. But these are things I've known Pete doing forever, since I've worked with him, I don't know, 2010 or something like that, 2012. So super talented guy who's done very well for himself on social media and online. And of course, his business is just incredibly big. And now he has his own line of bags. So I'm going to show you a couple of these things just because they're really cool and we just got them in. This is the Nomadic accessory case. All of his bags are really well laid out. Got his little logo on there. Lots of internal compartments and things to customize. And they're just an interesting design. For example, like check this out. This is the Nomadic Cube Pack. So it's a cube. Put your camera gear in here and I'll open it up and show you. But this thing does a special little trick. There you are. Put that in a backpack, put your camera gear in there, accessories, camera, whatever you have. But the trick is it turns into a backpack. You open up the top lid and it has all of the accessories, the shoulder straps, a whole separate pouch area, and now it's a full backpack for your camera and day bag and whatever else you want to carry with you. Little things like this are what are going to separate Peter's designs from everybody else's. Oh, Anthony wants that one. Or for example, this is their new sling bag. Really interesting little trick I found out about this guy, aside from the fact that it has lots of space internally for your camera gear and it's all adaptable, and even on the front lid there's internal pockets that are really interesting to work with. It has this little rubber band guy that you can loop around that little hook right there, and now it just latches it tight without having to worry about your stuff falling out and without having to do the whole zipper up. So small little details are what Peter's kind of known for, and he carried that forward on all these bags, including something so cool like his little Pirate Life logo on the back of the bag. So very interesting stuff. I personally own a bunch of his things, like this battery holder. It's all magnet, so it just magnets to itself. The accessory kit right here, where I have all of my accessories already in here, including my Pocket 3 and all kinds of stuff. Super easy. Everything is contained. I opened it up and I didn't worry about everything falling out. And I also use the 25-liter backpack, which I would show you all the cool things about it, but I think I've actually talked about this before. Highly recommend all of these bags. Extremely well made, high quality product. Inserts for your camera bag, all kinds of cool things that we have finally in stock. I'm very stoked about that. So thank you, Peter, for making them. Thank you, Nomadic, for working with Pete. And of course, thank you to our purchasing department for making sure we did get everything. And I'm very stoked about that. Hey, Shelly's watching. My beautiful wife, Shelly. We had a great week vacation, by the way. She wasn't off every day, I was. But we got a lot done around the house. It was just a great time. So I'm glad people are able to tune in and watch. Well, cool. We got 10 concurrent viewers at the moment. Very good. Okay. Now, as far as what's used goes, well, I use them. These are also what's used. Because this is a photo review show, I'm going to save the excess time for talking about photos. And to do that, I'm going to ask Anthony to join me. So here you are, Anthony. Turn that on. There's your little mic, little holder, magnet thingy.
How's that?
Oh, clip it. Perfect.
Awesome.
There you go. So, yep, you're up. You're good. Welcome.
We can fit the screen.
I know
That's
the both
great.
of us are in here at the same time. It's not common to be able to get two tall guys in the frame.
Yeah, we need that 17 millimeter lens for this shot here, that's for sure.
So thank you.
Yeah,
That's really cool that you decided to do this with me today. I appreciate it.
anytime. That's perfect. It's great.
Now, maybe you can give our viewers a little description of your role within Henry's and what you bring to what Henry's is all about.
Absolutely. So basically, I started in 2019 from Henry's, and I was working in the Burlington store as a sales associate, just like yourself, and a lot like yourself. I was just trying to get involved in content creation. At the time, I was very into video. Came from being a full-time portrait photographer on the side as like my main kind of gig. The reason why I was able to be a full-time portrait photographer was because I moved into an 11-foot trailer with my wife and my 60-pound dog, and we decided to just do that for like a whole year, and that's what kickstarted my photography career. So
how would that transfer into...
So the reason why I was able to become a full-time photographer so quickly is because I essentially moved into the 11-foot trailer.
So you didn't have a ton of bills that you had to worry about.
I cut down all my bills and all that stuff. So then I was able to get these like photo clients, and it wasn't a ton of work, but it was enough that, you know, I could eat and be somewhat comfortable in my tiny little trailer. But then I got to Henry's, and then I just started creating social media content, and they noticed. And I was just being funny on camera, as I normally do. And then the reels started to do really well. So that's how it kind of got started. And now my official title is Content and Training Specialist. So
awesome.
I always tell people I just make videos for Henry's.
Well, you're a creative guy.
Exactly.
And I know from experience that if you're a creative person and you aren't able to do all these things, you get bored real quick.
Yep. And that's the only reason why I've been into content creation for so long is because I'm like you, I want to be learning all the time. And there's a never ending supply of things to learn about. Like I'm learning everything that you guys are doing here on this show and how to make this happen. So it's all interesting.
Yeah.
And
cool.
it never stops. Right.
I think that's my favorite thing about photography.
Exactly.
You can spend 40 years in this discipline and then get cued into this and then spend another 40 years here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
I did portraits, and we, of course, with Henry's are shooting a ton of products. So learning product photography, and it was kind of interesting. There are some techniques from portraiture that we use in product photography. So all very relevant and helpful information.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but
for sure.
The learning continues, right?
Beautiful. Love it. Speaking of learning, this is a photo review show.
Yes.
And the point of a photo review show is to give our viewers a little bit of insight, things they may not have thought of with their own photography and so on. I know when I first started doing photo reviews with Ross and some other people that inspired me, I didn't realize the benefits that they really had.
Totally.
Being able to have a third party kind of give you different perspectives and thoughts that you might not have thought about is a huge asset to a photographer, as long as it's being put to them in a positive way that isn't, you know, making them feel like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Totally.
I've had those moments myself.
Yeah, it's tough.
So this month's photo challenge, the theme was Equinox. And Equinox is a pretty complicated theme for a lot of people. I thought it would be a lot easier. I find I'm doing this. I pick a challenge and I think it's going to be easy. And then as I get closer to making the photo myself, I'm like, ugh, I can't figure it out. And then I do my inspiration show and that gives me new ideas. And so the whole way that we're doing the show has been really cool for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the viewers as well.
The submission of the images is just as hard as critiquing the image.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
really good point. Sometimes putting yourself out there like that is really daunting. Right?
Yeah. So good on the people who submitted.
Agreed. And to that point, whoops, let me mute that back. I'm going to flip over here and I'm going to put the pictures up on the screen so that you can see them nice and large. And I'll share my screen over there for everybody else as well. Click, click, boom. There we go.
Image number one.
Image number one, and I'm going to do my screen share here so everybody else can see. Let me Is I always joke, and my wife hates it when I say the producer comment, but I think what I really need is a producer that can flip all these things for me so I can just talk. But that's okay. Here we go.
So let me give you first thoughts. How about that? While you okay, we got the screen.
We're good. Everybody can see it.
Okay, perfect.
So before I go any further into thoughts, this is a photo from Doug Boyce.
Yes.
Doug says, attached is my photo for the subject photo challenge. Photo is a double exposure, in-camera double exposure, and was taken on September 28th at the Holland Marsh photo walk.
On my birthday. That's great.
Oh, very cool. Happy belated birthday. This is a photo walk we put on here in Newmarket. We all went to the Holland Marsh Winery, and I had a great time. I was lighting things on fire, and we had a lot of fun. But this is a really interesting concept, and multiple exposure is something that I've talked about on the show a few times, and I'm really curious to see if Doug chose to do this based on what he learned on the show. And if that's the case, then I feel even better about what we're doing. But nonetheless, the fact that you made 2 exposures in camera. So again, the first photo is a farm tractor and equipment beside the harvested field. That's beside the winery. The second photo is an apple tree from the orchard on the winery estates. He thinks both photos depict a current autumn theme. Also, the vibrant colors of orange, yellow, green, and red remind me of the fall tree colors. And he says he's looking forward to seeing the others and hearing the critique of his photo. First of all, Doug, thank you so much. You're an excellent viewer. You always contribute, and I really appreciate you doing that. Back to the photo. I think the fact that we have you here, Anthony, I'd like to hear what you think of it first.
Well, I mean, double exposures are tough, and especially if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot to photograph. So I predict that this is an area that would be pretty difficult to get 2 images that would correlate and kind of make for a good composition. That's the tough part about having a double exposure is, does the composition make sense? And does it follow those rules? And most of the time, it doesn't.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's absolutely hard to do.
That's a really good point, because I shot some wrestling over the weekend, and I tried multiple exposure for wrestling.
Yeah.
And like there was one shot where the ref went down for the count, and then he came up and he gave the sign.
Oh, yeah.
And that worked for me.
That works.
But 90% of the other ones just were
yeah, they're
muddled.
total. Yeah, exactly. So totally understand where this photographer was going, but it's definitely telling the story of the location maybe in an interesting way, which I definitely like. And of course, the colors look really good too. You got that sunset you got there at the right time of day. Absolutely.
But that was on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, for sure. It was a great venue, and I agree with you, Anthony. The colors are really what make the photo attract the eye.
Yep.
You know, your viewer is going to look at this and see the warm tones and see the golds and the reds and all those tones.
Yeah. Because the sun is over here, it's also hitting the barn. It actually makes this a little bit more viewable. That the sun is actually over here in one exposure, but it's also coming from that direction in the other exposure, which is the barn and the leaves, right? So it was good to lay over top 2 images where the sun is pointing in the same direction.
Good point.
That's what I'm noticing.
Very cool. Absolutely. I'd like to hear if anybody else who's watching has any comments. By all means, as always, we love hearing what you think about the shots. But Doug, man, this is great. I really appreciate you sending this one in.
Yeah, if we could add something to give him something to do next time, is I would just say work on that the
continuity.
The composition, actually, that's what I was thinking about. So maybe if like the barn was maybe over here, the tractor was over here, something like that, just so it's not like one over top of the other. But that's the difficulty in doing those double exposures. You almost kind of don't really know what you're going to get.
It's true.
So it's a matter of playing around, multiple compositions, like moving one item here, one item here. You mentioned that wrestling shot. That would be the perfect time for the double exposure where one person is here, one person is here.
That was the challenge of me trying it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's right. It's trial and error.
And so many of them were just not right.
Exactly.
And it's like you say, some really successful multiple exposure shots would be if you have a lot of negative space in the first shot, like a person's face with a bunch of sky behind it, and then the second shot is something else that face fits into.
Yep.
And works, really well that way.
Absolutely.
But it's like you say, I mean, doing a multiple exposure is a challenge. It's fun. And it's not always easy.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you did it, you submitted it, Doug, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Now we're going to look at the next photo. Here's the photo for everybody else, and I will flip over here for us. There. Oh,
Oh, spoiler alert.
yep.
Oh, block. This is live. This is live,
went to
folks.
number 4 immediately, which I don't know why. Let's go 2. There we go.
There we go.
So here is the photo from our friend, Mr. Michael Drukarsh. So let me read what Mike had to say about this here. Here's my submission for the Equinox Challenge. Equal night is the literal meaning, but here I capture the moment of equal power between human and dog. Who won? That's your story to tell.
First thing I'm noticing with this photo is I like how your eyes are traveling through the frame. So you're obviously first starting right here, but then your eyes kind of wander in this diagonal kind of line, which is one of the first things that I noticed when looking at this image for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very clear using the depth of field the way he did, whether it's zoomed in, open aperture, all things combined, proximity very close to it. You're really able to isolate the story by blurring out the parts that aren't really necessary. Even the chair, which could be distracting in the background, isn't really distracting in this case because you're really able to focus on the hand and the thing and the dog. The thing is my technical term, what that is. My only thought is the hand looks very blue.
Yep.
So I'm thinking a white balance issue on the hand is something that potentially could add an extra 10% to the shot. And my quote is always the extra 10% makes 100% of the difference. So sometimes just a little bit of, and that could be just a very selective adjustment. In Lightroom, you can literally choose the hand.
Yep.
And just bring that down a little bit, right?
Yeah, I might even suggest putting like a radial mask or something like that on the main subject, so that way it's just a little bit brighter, and then the rest of the background will essentially fall into darkness.
Yeah, that's a good point. So now you're not just using the depth of field to isolate, you're also using the brightness or lack of.
Exactly.
Isolate.
And then you mentioned the chair, which is definitely one of the things that I've noticed. One of the things that I'm thinking about when laying out images is what color is the backdrop, what is the main subject, and what is the main subject wearing, because I come from portrait backdrop.
Right.
But in this case, the main subject here is actually orange, where we have the red chair. So they kind of play together if you were stretching it a little bit, but if you were to make this photo even a little bit better, is just move the camera angle so that way it's all green, and then you take away the extra element of the chair.
That's a good point.
Overall, pretty cool image.
Yeah, and to that point though, Anthony, if you move just like one step to the right,
exactly,
the background is a completely different background.
Yep, and it would have been all green. There would have been no distractions whatsoever. We are now debating, is this like a part of the story? It's kind of like taking you away from the main action, which is, of course, the dog with the toy.
Yeah, really good point. Very good point. Awesome. Okay, so again, if any viewer has anything they'd like to add here, please feel free to post that in the chat and we can see it right away. I'm just going to go here and see if there's any additional chats. Steve, I was there. Yes, you were. All right, let's move along here to the next shot. Number 3. Now, Brian isn't here today. Brian is usually we have a reserved chair for Brian here in the show. He comes almost every week to be with us at the show. His wife even knows like this is his time to come. He also goes to the theater a lot, so today is his theater day. I absolutely love his ability to contribute. Brian's one of those guys that just loves to contribute, and this is no different. So Equinox, again, let me go back to the comments, what Brian said about his photo here. And there we go. My Equinox is 2 things can occupy the same time and space at opposite times. Thus, different shirt and books and the same space. So that's why he has the 2 things in the shot, wearing different clothes, a different book, but he's got the 2 things occupying the same space, which is an interesting twist to the theme Equinox.
This is definitely the strongest image we've seen so far, and one of the reasons why I like it is because it's symmetrical. If we pull it up on the screen here, we can see it's symmetrical. We have books on this side. We also have, maybe it looks like a photo frame on this side. And then of course, if you split this image down the center, you get the same on each side. So I think this is a pretty strong image. Taken on a maybe smartphone, or?
It's hard to say what was shot on. I think it was just a very low resolution transfer to us.
Okay.
So it does look like it's a bit pixelated from low resolution
Maybe it's
file.
just us. Okay.
But it could be from a cell phone. Brian is the type of guy, he has great gear. He has an R8 and he has a bunch of different gear, but he uses everything.
Oh, yeah. And that's the way to be.
So it could be cell phone, it could be something else, but it honestly, and the way he thinks and the way I think, it doesn't really matter the tool in this case,
Yep.
because it's not a challenging lighting environment. It's not a challenging focusing environment.
Yep.
So the best tool you can have is the one you have on you when you need it, right?
Exactly. I could see this as like a funny Facebook profile picture or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe like a banner image on like a YouTube channel or something like that. So
Very cool.
very funny.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. All right, and let's look at the final photo for our challenge. And this is from Anne Ashby. Now, Anne isn't watching right now because she's in Vermont.
Okay.
I don't know if you all know this, but I'm from Vermont. That was my high school years, all in Vermont. I love Vermont. I love Vermont. I would be there any day of the week because it reminds me just of like Algonquin in the north, and it's just so beautiful. So, Anne, thank you for submitting, even though you're not in the area. And here's what Anne said about her photo. There were so many vantage points in Vermont for changing of colors. Unfortunately, not close enough for reflection. As I was taking photos, I saw this memorial stone bench and angels and a cross. When I changed direction, the sun was clearly above the angel, representing a sunburst, which confirmed the image of changes and subtle fall colors. So this is an interesting shot. I mean, the sunburst is usually created from a small aperture, and you can see, or you can't see, but I'll tell you, she was shooting at f/22. So she was using the 24 to 120, shutter speed of about 80th of a second. So it's not a very fast shutter speed. But at f/22, when you close that aperture way down, the sun will burst out. And it's almost the same number of bursts as the aperture blades in some cases, I think. That happens sometimes. So it's interesting when you look at a photo from that angle. When we were at the Holland Marsh, I was doing a lot of that, trying to stop it down so I can see that burst come through some shots. It was a really neat effect. It's really neat to me also is how many of the photos were submitted here that I actually thought to try and do. Like I was going to do a multiple exposure. I was going to do the starburst from the Holland Marsh. I just didn't submit anything because I was on vacation last week. So
Yeah, you should have been shooting anyways. There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. Bad me. Okay, so Anthony, what do you think about this shot? Here, let me pull it up on the bigger TV so you can see it here.
So I get the idea of where we were going with the starburst and of course the angel here. I feel like these should just be a little bit closer together. So it was probably just a perspective change that needed to happen to make like the angel a little bit closer to
Now, how can we do that? Step back further, zoom in, shoot from a lower angle?
Super low. It would have to be a super low angle because I get what we were talking about, where this is like it was like a gravestone kind of thing, memorial kind of thing. So it would have to be shot from like a super low angle. You would essentially be almost on the ground shooting upward, and then you'd get the sun a little bit closer to the angel. So it almost looks like they're a little bit too disconnected, whereas the story that she was trying to tell was these two are actually related. So that's the only thing that I'm thinking about, and I think if we brought those two together, it would make for a stronger image.
Also,
overall,
what if it were a vertical photo?
Yeah, vertical would actually might make more sense if that's the story she's obviously trying to tell. It might actually make sense as a vertical image. And again, you could still get down nice and low and connect the two a little bit more. But overall, solid effort, and I like the story that she was trying to tell, because this is something you would walk by, and this is one of those images where you walk by this, you don't really think anything of it, but obviously this lady is obviously trying to be very creative and connect those
Anne's
two.
amazing like that. Yeah, she's always trying to think a little outside the box, create an image that a lot of people haven't. Her Ziggy Stardust photo with the dog and the gems, and it was just awesome to see.
I feel like this is like the Vivian Maier type of image. You walk by like a pile of garbage, and you're trying to like figure out like how to make the composition like look good. This is one of those images.
That's probably true. I remember a quote from Scott Kelby: "If you see something interesting enough to stop the scene, shoot from different perspectives, and try all different angles, and see which one clicks."
I'd be curious to know how many shots she took. If this was the first shot, then I think we did something wrong. Like you said, work that scene a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was more that she was like picking from. So
Well, I'm
just
sure
curious.
we'll get that feedback from her when she watches the video. So
Exactly. Let
And
us know.
again, as always, thank you so much for being a part of our community and for submitting photos for our challenges. And to everybody who submitted this week, I can't thank you enough. The photo reviews for me have really opened my mind to different things. I was explaining to you before about the Ziggy Stardust, how it changed my whole perspective of
Yeah.
shooting, and my way of shooting wrestling has changed and everything. So I can't thank my viewers enough, and Henry's enough for letting me even do the show, because as a creator, you get bored really easy. And these photo challenges are designed to kind of push you through that boredom and have you try different things. So hopefully we'll have some more submissions for the coming challenge, which is going to be a little easier. A little bit easier. But before we get there, I'm going to ask you this question. You kind of touched on it a few minutes ago. But when you do a photo challenge, how do you work out what you want to make for that challenge?
Yeah, so I primarily can't come from that portrait background. So whenever I'm trying to create an image, I'm generally thinking there's going to be a person in the frame. It's not always the case with Henry's, but the same principles apply whether you're shooting a person or whether you're shooting something like a camera or a product in general. It could be like a basket of fruit. You got to think about. Here are the things that I actually think about. It's really three things. One, what is the background going to look like? So, for example, this set, you've obviously put in some thought into what the background actually is going to look like. You did that on purpose. That's the first thing that I'm going to think about when making an image. What does the background look like? Then, what is the subject that I'm actually going to shoot? What are they going to wear? If it's a person, then that's easy. You can kind of switch shirts to match a background, or contrast against the background. When it's a product, you're thinking, okay, maybe this banana is yellow. I shouldn't put it on a green backdrop, or maybe you do want to put it on a green backdrop. You're trying to play with those contrasting colors.
Yeah, but some colors together actually make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the things that you want to avoid. Like I maybe was thinking like a purple and like yellow. Maybe that might not be the best choice.
That was a school I went to's colors, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta kind of think about what the subject is actually wearing, or what is the subject, right? The last thing that I always think about is how are we going to light it. So that's the biggest one, and this is what separates the average photographers from the best of the best photographers, is knowing how you're going to light it.
Yeah.
And when you think about all three, you're able to create the image in your head before you even go out and shoot it.
Pre-visualize the shot.
Yeah, I already know what the shot's going to look like if I've thought about those three things. And that's how I always approach photography, whether I'm shooting people, places, things, whatever it is. I'm always thinking about backdrop. What's the subject actually going to wear, or what's the color of the subject, and then how am I going to light it?
Awesome. Really cool. Thank you. That's a great tip. Okay, so back to the next challenge. The next challenge is, drum roll, October Rust. Now, October Rust could be anything you want it to be. As always, I will do an inspiration show a week before we do the actual review, which would be the final week of this month. It's a bit shorter time for you guys to make your photos. Obviously, I was gone for a week, so we're short 1 week to get these photos into us. So please get out there, make your photo for October Rust. Really excited to see what you guys do for that. Debbie, thank you. A little late, but I figured out how to view. This is a new way of us doing this, and I really appreciate all the people who took the time to find the YouTube channel and pay attention to our show there. As I always try and do, is I'm always trying to do something different. I'm always trying to improve the show, and I think YouTube is going to make it a little more accessible for everybody. Because there's been a lot of people I've told about the show, and like I don't have Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, so, totally.
And if anybody has any countering opinions on this, please let me know. Wide open to anything you have to say. Okay, so that is it for our photo review. That was great. Beautiful. Let me go back to, actually, no, I'm going to keep that up there because I'm going to talk about the closing things, because this is where we're at in our conversation. At the end of the show, I like to remind everybody some of the initiatives that we have going on here at Henry's, because I freaking love this place. Like, we do some really cool stuff. Right now, there's the Henry's Orange Tag Sale, which is on now. What's the deal with the Orange Tag Sale? Why is it called Orange Tag Sale?
I think it's a play on the. There was a couple businesses that was doing like a red tag sale. So obviously Henry's
orange.
we're orange, and that's how it kind of came about. So
Can you
yeah,
tell I'm a
orange,
Henry's fanboy?
orange tag. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
everything.
Even like I got the watch, the orange.
Awesome.
It's all thought through.
So this is from October 3rd to the 13th. Huge discounts, exclusive bundles, lots of really great deals. And if you go to it's right on the header. You can click and see all the big specials that we have on. One thing I noticed that's really cool, I sold one of these earlier today, was the DJI mics that we're using for our show.
Yep.
$100 off.
Can I make a product suggestion? I saw some crazy deals on our website too. If people are shopping for a new camera system, the Panasonic cameras, I think I saw the S5 Mark II on for $650 off.
Wow.
And that is a killer camera. I actually use that camera to shoot pretty much all of our Henry's social media content. So if you're looking for a new system, check out some of the Panasonic cameras because the deals are pretty impressive.
Awesome. We were just talking about some of those Panasonics earlier today.
Yeah.
Very cool
Sigma
stuff.
lenses. There's a couple good Sigma lenses I saw online too that are a couple bucks off as well.
Very cool. So check that out, guys. And as always, there are some good trade-in promotions. Right now, there's a trade-in upgrade it. Get up to $500 more when you trade in toward a Sony. And of course, you have, if you're buying their Alpha 1 II, you'll get a $500 bonus. So you can bring in, I don't know, this, well, not that, but like an old Rebel or something like that.
Yep.
And you'll get $10, $20 for it. But then you'll get another $500 on top of that.
Exactly.
So these trade-in programs are great value for people who are looking to upgrade their gear. And other than that, that's about it for us. So let me clear these things away. Let me make my screen just a little bit larger. And I'm going to thank everybody correctly and properly. And here we go. Cool. So Anthony, thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate you, man. It was a great asset. I mean, talking about the photos with you and your background was a huge help. I hope folks appreciated that. And for everybody who's watched us this week, thank you very much. We are at about 6 minutes past what we're supposed to be, but that's okay. Tell your friends about the Weekly Briangle Report. If you need any questions answered, you can still message us right here at Henry's, of course. And here is the email. You can email us. And this is also where you're going to send your photos for the photo submission. Again, October Rust is the challenge theme. Can't wait to see what you guys all do. And we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.